Hello YouTube, my name is Fossa, Australian for beer and American for your parents who didn't love you. Today I want to talk about something that kind of came up in this sketch Saturday. Desperation. It's gonna be a fun one. Let's start with defining romantic desperation, because I think that's a good place to start. Let's define it as a hunger or a longing for a relationship or a longing for someone, or just being really, really ridiculously horny. Just saying. I think desperation can come from a lot of places. I think that emotions that present themselves as one way can really be caused by something else. For instance, when I was the level of desperate where I was trying online dating, and that was a while ago, I realized at one point it wasn't because it was a sexual desire. It was actually because I didn't feel fulfilled in myself. I didn't feel like I liked me enough, you know? Because if you love you, then that love, that affirmation that you get from others, it's nice, but it's not really as necessary. And I think it's important to look at our desperation for something and ask ourselves, what is it really about? Because sometimes it is what it presents itself to be. But I think a lot of the time it's something else entirely. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that, but I also wanted to talk about how guys typically deal with it and my disagreements. Guys, we need to do better. Like, there's just no way to phrase that. If you are a straight man, you need to do better. Like, there are comedians who make jokes about how easy straight women are because guys have treated them so fucking shittily. Like, every single woman on Mumble has this thing where they're like, not into casual, don't want it, don't need it. I think that's terrible. I think that enough guys have said whatever they possibly could to get into these women's bedrooms and just do whatever they want and then leave and then ghost them, and they think that's okay. And that is so far from okay. Like, a person that has a lot of sex, fine. But if you are manipulating, if you are telling people what they want to hear just so that you can get laid, dude, you have got to stop. It's as simple as that. And it might bite you in the ass, it might not. That doesn't matter. What matters is that you're being a complete asshole to all of these human beings like yourself. You're breaking hearts, and breaking hearts is not something to aspire to. That's terrible. That is absolutely terrible. And that's not even counting the flood of dick pics, unsolicited dick pics that these girls get. And it's rude, it's disrespectful, it tells them that you do not care what they think. Why the hell would they have any interest in that? Look, and for what it's worth, I get it. I get the desperation because I've been there. But sending unsolicited dick pics is not the way to handle it. Telling someone that you want something more than you want from them is not the way to handle it. I've had casual relationships. I've had friends with benefits relationships. And in all of those, I was completely honest about what I wanted, and they were honest with me about what they wanted. And it made it a lot easier and a lot more casual. It didn't have to be anything it wasn't. And I admit, in those times, it offered some comfort, and that was nice. But I never had to lie to get sex, and I don't think any guy out there has to. And if you can't get sex without lying, you know what the option is? Don't get sex. You don't need it that bad. Look inside yourself and ask yourself why you are so goddamn desperate for this physical contact. And I think a lot of the answer comes from guys. We're told that we aren't allowed to be physically affectionate with our friends. We're not allowed to tell our friends that we're having any emotions, or that we're not allowed to be vulnerable. We're not allowed to say I love you to our friends. And that is ridiculous. And that's going to put a lot more hardship. Those things are just objects that society has placed on you. You don't have to be those. I honest to God recommend every guy out there try to be a little bit more emotionally vulnerable with your friends. And if they reject you, then find friends you can be emotionally vulnerable around. And yeah, sometimes this will mean having female friends, and that's great. Honestly, I have a lot of female friends, and every single one of them I wouldn't trade for the world. Like, they have lifted me up when I was down. They have encouraged me to keep going, to keep moving forward. And I've had the good fortune to help them every now and then. And that's amazing. But I think if you can't say I love you to your friends, if you can't be physically affectionate with your friends, it's going to hurt you. And it's going to make you more desperate for a relationship, because you feel like that's the only place that you can say I love you, that you can be physically affectionate, that you can have that emotional vulnerability. So yeah, those are my tips, guys, to tackle desperation. First, look inside yourself, ask yourself, is this really the desire that I'm feeling? Why do I feel this way? And if the answer is something like it was for me, where it was I just didn't like myself, then that's something you got to work on. You got to figure out how to do that. For me, it meant congratulating myself when I did good things and trying to be genuine about it. Like that was a huge step in the right direction. And if it's something like a lack of physical affection, just know that even with your guy friends, you can be physically affectionate. Like I'm known at my current job as the office hugger. Like I ask everyone if they would like a hug, and I give hugs, and I'm told I give the best hugs, and that's that's a great feeling. And that's with men, that's with women, that's with everybody. And you can say I love you to the people that matter most to you, whether they're friends or not. Like, you can say I love you platonically. It doesn't have to be a romantic thing. Like, if they ask yourself in your life, who matters to you? Who's helped you? Who's been there? And if there is even one person, tell that person I love you right now. So that's my whole thing on desperation. I think it's two-pronged. I think one, it shows a vagrant obvious disrespect for women from straight men, and I think it shows a lack of affection when it comes to non-romantic love. So we have to be able to respect women. We have to be able to see them as people just like us. That way, even when you have those desires, you know how to treat women, because they're just like you. They have their own lives, their own goals, their own desires. They don't need to be sidetracked by your shit, man. But at the same time, you can ask your friends for genuine help. You can ask your friends for hugs, for physical affection. Like, it's okay. It's okay to ask for. Yeah, so that's all I got on that. I don't know if this will change any guys' minds out there who would be the kind to send dick pics. I hope it will, but I don't think it will, because a lot of those guys are kind of set in their ways, which is really shitty and sad. But just, if you see a kid starting these paths, maybe try to steer them off it, because we don't need more guys who are womenizers and manipulators in the world. We don't. Just one last thing. I used to think that I wasn't a very good guy. Like, I didn't, but hearing some of the horror stories from my friends, I'm freaking top of the pile, man. And I hate that. We should be in competition with each other for how well we can treat the women in our lives. That's how it should be. That's how I thought it was until I learned how terrible men are. So yeah, we gotta do better. And one, if you are like that, just stop. And two, if you are friends with people who you know are like that, you have to confront them. You have to talk to them, and you have to make them understand that women deserve respect, just like anyone else. Okay. That's it. I'm done. Have a great night and a wonderful life. Jesus.